If you're over 60, you've been told fruits are always healthy. But here's the shocker. Some fruits may actually be harming your blood sugar, digestion, or medications, and you probably eat them every day. This isn't about clarity, safety, and smart choices. Knowing which fruits to limit or avoid can help protect your heart, kidneys, and more. Let's walk through the truth gently, with care, because your health deserves real answers. When we mention supersweet, tropical fruits, we're not questioning their nutritional value in a general sense. Mangoes, pineapples, bananas, these are fruits packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. But the key issue we're focusing on, especially for seniors over 60, is sugar content and how the body responds to it at this stage in life. As we age, the body's ability to regulate blood sugar naturally becomes less efficient. The pancreas might not produce insulin as effectively, or the body might not respond to insulin the way it used to. That means glucose stays in the bloodstream longer, and this leads to blood sugar spikes that are harmful over time. Now, fruits like mangoes and pineapples are naturally high in fructose, a type of sugar that, while natural, is still sugar. It doesn't matter whether it's added sugar in a candy bar or natural sugar in a ripe banana when consumed in excess or without balancing fiber, protein, or fat. It can lead to the same metabolic consequences. These include elevated blood sugar levels, increased insulin resistance, and eventually a higher risk of type 2 diabetes or worsening of pre-existing diabetic conditions. For someone in their 60s or 70s, that risk becomes more real. Blood sugar stability isn't just about diabetes, it's about energy, cognition, and mood. Unstable sugar levels affect how alert you feel, how quickly you fatigue, and even how well you sleep. It's also easy to forget that fruit serving sizes are often misunderstood. A single mango can contain over 45 grams of sugar. Pineapple, around 16 grams per cup. Bananas, especially ripe ones, come in at 14 grams or more, depending on size, while a younger, more metabolically flexible person might burn through that sugar quickly. Older adults process it more slowly, and most seniors aren't burning through sugar with high-intensity workouts or daily physical labor. Instead, much of that sugar enters the bloodstream and remains there longer than it should. That's when inflammation begins to rise, fat begins to accumulate around organs, and energy levels become erratic. But here's what makes this even more important. People think they're doing the right thing by eating more fruit. They think, I've cut out cookies and soda. I eat fruit now. That's a noble effort and a step in the right direction. But it's not the full picture. The quality of the fruit and its impact on an aging body matters. The goal is not to avoid fruit, but to eat smarter. Focus on fruits that are but lower in sugar. Blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, they're all rich in antioxidants and fiber, but don't send your blood sugar soaring. They digest more slowly and cause a gentler, more stable rise in glucose, which is what the body prefers. That becomes even more critical when considering that many seniors are also on medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, or glucose control. A blood sugar spike from fruit may not just impact how you feel today, it may alter how well your medication works. It may push your insulin levels too high or leave you feeling sluggish and foggy. Over time, repeated spikes wear down the system, making it harder to maintain metabolic balance and harder to keep energy, weight, and mental clarity in check. So what does this mean in practical terms? It means when you choose your fruit, you look beyond taste and habit. You pay attention to the glycemic index, the measure of how quickly a food raises blood sugar. You balance fruit with a source of protein or fat, like a handful of walnuts with apple slices, or some plain yogurt with berries. You don't eat fruit alone, on an empty stomach first thing in the morning or right before bed. You portion it. You enjoy it, but with the understanding that not all fruits support your goals in the same way. This is not about giving up what you loved. It's about knowing what works with your body at this stage of life. The goal is clarity, not restriction, empowerment, not fear. And when you begin to swap tropical sugar-heavy fruits with lower glycemic fiber-rich alternatives, your body begins to respond. You'll notice better digestion, more stable energy, less bloating, and over time, your lab numbers might just surprise you in the best way possible. But the question remains if sugar-rich fruits need moderation. What other hidden food choices are silently working against your well-being after 60? That's exactly where we're headed next. Let's talk strictly about the topic. Canned fruits packed in syrup might look harmless on a shelf, and many seniors reach for them thinking they're a convenient way to get more fruit into their diet. But what seems convenient often comes with hidden consequences, especially when it comes to the syrups they're packed in. The syrup is the problem, not the fruit itself. That syrup is essentially concentrated sugar water, and when you eat fruit soaked in it, you're no longer getting the natural balance that whole fruit offers. Instead, you're loading your system with a burst of sugar that's stripped of fiber, diluted in nutrition, and potentially harmful over time. Here's what's happening at the biological level. As we age, our glucose metabolism slows down. This means our body has a harder time regulating how quickly sugar enters the bloodstream and how effectively insulin responds to it. Now, When you eat fruit in its natural form, the fiber helps slow the absorption of sugar. But when you consume fruit packed in syrup, that fiber-sugar balance is disrupted. The syrup floods your bloodstream with simple sugars that convert to glucose quickly, causing a spike that your body struggles to manage efficiently. It's not just a number on a blood sugar chart. These spikes impact how you feel. They can make you tired, foggy, irritable, or even anxious. It's also important to understand that many canned fruits aren't just floating in simple syrup. They're preserved with additional additives and flavor enhancers that aren't necessary, and sometimes aren't clearly labeled. Things like high fructose corn syrup or artificial sweeteners may be present, and these substances often lead to more cravings, increased inflammation, and metabolic imbalances. For seniors already navigating chronic health conditions like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, or obesity, this can silently sabotage their progress. Another aspect that often gets overlooked is the illusion of nutrition. You see peaches or pears in a can, and you assume you're getting vitamins. But many of those water-soluble vitamins, like vitamin C or B vitamins, degrade over time during processing and storage. By the time that canned fruit lands on your plate, especially if it's been sitting on a shelf for months or even years, you're often left with a sugary shell of what was once a nutrient-rich food. And when it's drenched in syrup, the negative outweighs the positive. This is particularly concerning for seniors who may live alone or have limited access to fresh produce. Canned fruit seems easy, no peeling, no chopping, just open and eat. But easy doesn't mean healthy, and unfortunately, the convenience comes at the cost of real nourishment. This doesn't mean you have to abandon canned fruit altogether. There are better options: fruit canned in water or its own juice. For instance, without added sugars, these retain more of the fruit's integrity and offer a safer choice for aging bodies. Let's also be clear about the psychological impact. Many older adults grew up in a time when canned fruits were considered a household stapler, practical solution during hard times, or a symbol of home-cooked meals. But dietary science has evolved, and so has our understanding of how food interacts with an aging metabolism. So if you're someone who reaches for canned peaches and heavy syrup thinking it's a light dessert or a quick snack, think again. That spoonful of syrup-laden fruit could be a hidden reason behind your mid-afternoon crash or unexplained weight gain. The solution isn't dramatic, it's thoughtful. Choose fruits packed in water. Rinse them before eating to reduce any residual sugars. Or better yet, keep frozen berries on hand, which are picked at peak ripeness and flash frozen too. Retain nutrients without added sugar. This is about reclaiming control over small food decisions that have a big impact. It's about understanding that what worked for your body decades ago may not be right for it now. And it's about realizing that healthy food choices don't need to be complicated, they need to be informed. With a simple shift away from canned fruits and toward more natural fiber-rich options, your body will begin to reflect that wisdom through better digestion, clearer thinking, and more stable energy. But what other hidden healthy foods might be quietly working against your well-being without you even noticing? You'll want to stick around for what's coming next. Let's talk strictly about the topic. Dried fruits often carry a reputation of being a wholesome, nutritious snack. They're small, sweet, and marketed as natural. But for seniors, they can be surprisingly deceptive, especially when consumed regularly and without awareness. What seems like a smart alternative to candy can, in fact, deliver an unexpected blow to your blood sugar levels, digestion, and overall metabolic health. And it all starts with understanding what dried fruit really is. Once moisture is removed and sugar becomes concentrated. When fruit is dried, all of its water content evaporates, leaving behind a much smaller, more sugar-dense version of the original food. Take grapes, for example. A small box of raisins may seem innocent, but it can contain the sugar equivalent of several servings of whole grapes without the volume or fiber to slow the sugar down. For older adults whose insulin response may already be impaired due to age-related changes in metabolism, this means the body has to work harder to process those sugars, spiking glucose quickly and forcefully. It may not feel dramatic in the moment, but over time, it contributes to insulin resistance and makes energy crashes more likely. Another issue with dried fruits is how easy they are to overeat. They're lightweight, tasty, and come in handfuls. The chewing effort is minimal, and portion control becomes a challenge. A handful of dried mango or banana chips can disappear quickly, but your body doesn't forget what it's taking in. You may think you've had a light snack, when in reality, you've just consumed the sugar equivalent of a full dessert. And since dried fruits don't make you feel full the way hydrated fruits do, the hunger often returns faster, fueling a cycle of grazing that puts constant stress on blood sugar and digestive efficiency. There's also the issue of additives. Most commercial dried fruits, especially the ones with bright color and shiny appeal, are treated with preservatives like sulfur dioxide to enhance shelf life and retain a pleasing appearance. While approved for use, these additives can cause digestive discomfort, especially in people with sensitive stomachs or mild food sensitivities that often develop with age. Additionally, many dried fruits are sweetened further with added sugars or coated in syrup before drying, turning a once natural food into a dessert-level indulgence. Even the so-called healthy ones like dried cranberries, which are often used in salads or snacks, are rarely found unsweetened. This sweetening is necessary because cranberries are naturally tart, but that doesn't change the fact that each serving may carry several grams of added sugar, on top of what's already naturally present in the fruit. For seniors who may be managing weight, blood pressure, or glucose control, these small amounts add up quickly and silently. Of course, not all dried fruits are harmful in small, occasional amounts, especially if they're unsweetened and consumed with awareness. A few pieces of dried apricot in a salad or some prunes for digestion can serve a purpose. But the key lies in mindfulness, portion control, and label reading. Most people don't realize that what they're putting into their body isn't just fruits, concentrated sugar with far less fiber, water, or satiety benefits. This matters because, with age, your nutritional needs become more focused. You don't just eat for energy, you eat to maintain bone health, muscle strength, mental clarity, and stable mood. Dried fruits, when misunderstood, can rob you of those benefits by destabilizing your body's internal rhythm. And when consumed, daily or thoughtlessly, they can do more harm than good, especially if you believe they're a guilt-free snack. So what's the alternative? Start by choosing whole fruits whenever possible. If you need convenience, reach for fruits that are high in fiber and water like apples, oranges, berries, or pears. If dried fruits are your preference, choose unsweetened versions and measure out a small portion ahead of time rather than snacking directly from the bag. And above all, pay attention to how your body responds, not just in terms of weight, but in terms of energy, digestion, and clarity. This isn't about cutting out food you enjoy, it's about making smarter, informed choices that respect the stage of life you're in. Because when your health depends on subtle shifts rather than major changes, even something as small as how you eat fruit can become the lever that lifts you toward better balance and energy. But if dried fruit is one of the trickiest food traps, what other healthy choices might be quietly draining your strength, your energy, and your sense of control? That's where we're headed next. Let's talk strictly about the topic. Fruit juices often present themselves as the epitome of health. With labels that boast phrases like 100% natural, no added sugar, or vitamin-rich, they can easily convince even the most health-conscious senior to believe they're making a smart choice. But the truth is more complex. For those over 60, regularly consuming fruit juices, even the so-called pure ones, can quietly undermine the very health they're trying to protect. When fruit is juiced, what's left behind is essentially sugar water, stripped of the fiber that would otherwise help the body process it more slowly and evenly. Think of an orange. Eating a whole orange gives your body fiber, which helps slow down digestion, prevents blood sugar spikes, and supports healthy gut function. But when that orange is turned into juice, you lose nearly all that fiber. What remains is a concentrated form of sugar and water, delivered rapidly into your bloodstream. This rapid sugar absorption becomes even more important to consider with age. Seniors are more likely to have some degree of insulin resistance or be managing conditions like type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, or metabolic syndrome. A glass of orange juice may seem innocent, but it can spike blood sugar as aggressively as soda. And over time, repeated spikes lead to crashes, leaving you feeling fatigued, irritable, and hungry again soon after drinking. It's a cycle that's tough on the body and deeply counterproductive when energy, stability, and long-term health are your goals. Some might argue that fruit juice is still better than artificially sweetened or processed drinks. And that might be true in isolated cases. But let's not confuse less harmful with good for you. Many commercial fruit juices, even those labeled no added sugar, still contain more grams of sugar per serving than the World Health Organization recommends. What does this mean for seniors looking to make smarter choices? It means that fruit juice shouldn't be a daily staple. It should be treated like a treat, occasional, mindful, and portion controlled. If you crave the taste of juice, consider watering it down or blending whole fruits with water or ice into smoothies, so at least the fiber is preserved. Better yet, eat the fruit whole. That way, you benefit from the natural package of nutrients, fiber, and hydration in a balanced form. Your body understands and can process efficiently. It's not about demonizing fruit juice. It's about recognizing that what may have been a harmless or even beneficial habit decades ago can take on new meaning in later life. Your body's needs have shifted. What worked in your 30s and 40s may not serve you in your 60s and beyond. Respecting that isn't restrictive, it's empowering. You deserve to know what helps you thrive, not just survive. But if fruit juice hides behind a healthy disguise, how many other everyday choices are quietly working against your energy, mobility, or long-term wellness? That's the question we'll confront next. Let's talk strictly about the topic. Bananas often enjoy a glowing reputation as a go-to healthy snack. They're convenient, naturally sweet, and rich in potassium, a nutrient often praised for supporting heart and muscle function. But what happens when we look at bananas through the specific lens of senior health? That's where things get more nuanced. While bananas are not bad in an absolute sense, they can become a problematic choice when eaten regularly or in large amounts, especially for people over the age of 60. The reason is simple: what a younger body handles with ease, an aging body may need to approach with more precision. At their core, bananas are high in sugar and carbohydrates, and they have a relatively high glycemic index. This means they cause blood sugar levels to rise quickly after consumption. For seniors, many of whom may be managing insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, or diabetes, this rapid spike, followed by an inevitable crash, can cause fatigue, irritability, and even interfere with stable energy levels throughout the day. And the concern isn't just about diabetes. Even without a formal diagnosis, older adults often experience slower metabolic responses, making them more vulnerable to the roller coaster of sugar highs and lows. The fiber content in bananas, though present, is modest. One medium banana contains about 3 grams of fiber, yet close to 14 grams of sugar. That ratio becomes important when considering how quickly the sugar hits the bloodstream. Unlike fruits that offer more fiber per sugar gram like berries or apples, bananas deliver their natural sugars fast, with less buffering support. That may be fine for a quick energy boost, but it's not ideal for steady blood sugar, especially when consumed first thing in the morning or on an empty stomach. Another layer to consider is potassium. While it's true that bananas are known for their potassium content, many other foods like leafy greens, beans, and avocados offer more potassium with fewer drawbacks. For seniors with kidney concerns, which becomes more common with age, too much potassium can actually be dangerous. Impaired kidney function can limit the body's ability to filter out excess potassium, potentially leading to a condition called high. Symptoms include irregular heartbeat, fatigue, and muscle weakness. Ironically, the very issues seniors might be eating bananas to avoid. Bananas also contribute to dietary monotony. Many people rely on them as a daily snack without questioning if they're the best choice for their current health needs. The body thrives on variety. Nutrient diversity becomes even more critical as we age, because absorption efficiency declines over time. Reaching for the same fruit every day might feel convenient, but it can also mean missing out on a broader range of antioxidants, minerals, and fiber types that other fruits offer. Berries, citrus, kiwi, or pears, for example, each bring their own specific benefits, often with lower sugar and higher fiber than bananas. Of course, the story isn't that bananas are inherently harmful. The issue is over-reliance, especially in a phase of life when precision in nutrition can make a profound difference. A banana once in a while, paired with a protein or healthy fat like nut butter, may not pose a problem. But routinely consuming bananas as a standalone snack or meal replacement can subtly and steadily throw off blood sugar control, hinder energy stability, and create nutrient imbalances that accumulate over time. The goal isn't to fear bananas or eliminate them entirely, but rather to rethink their role in the daily diet. As we get older, our food choices need to do more than satisfy cravings or follow old habits. They need to support our evolving biology. What the body tolerated at 40 may not work as well at 65 or 70. And recognizing that isn't a burden, a form of wisdom. It's about giving your body the right kind of fuel for this new chapter, rather than sticking with what used to work just because it's familiar. So, what might make a better daily fruit choice for seniors? Which fruits offer the nutrients you need without the blood sugar baggage you don't? That's exactly where we're heading next.